Okay, so thank you for sitting down with me today. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on the upcoming special session and the school vouchers. I know they haven't filed the special session version of the school voucher bill yet, but what are your general thoughts?
Well, obviously waiting to see what that language looks like. My understanding is that there will be some minor changes or tweaks that'll create some differences between what's been filed with SB1 and HB1 currently. That bill was filed in November for the general session. And I think over the last couple of months with discussion with different members to try to, again, build enough votes to be able to get it passed, that there will be a few changes to that. Certainly one of the things I think that will be different is the language regarding the hold harmless portion as it relates to continuing the spending to public schools to keep them from having a drop in funding based on a drop in enrollment. The language that was originally drafted is a little bit vague as to how long that's going to stay in place, which has created some area for discussion where opponents of that bill think that it's only going to be good for a year. Those that support it are saying, no, this is going to be in perpetuity and that funding will stay there for the public schools. So I suspect there'll be some effort to clean that language up. Outside of that, I don't know what else to expect. So I think most of us are just kind of sitting and waiting patiently to see what the bill looks like and dig into it before we get too terribly ginned up in one direction or the other.
If it does end up looking pretty similar to the SB1, HB1, what do you think your vote will be on it? What do you personally think about this whole package?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Currently, as it's drafted, I don't know that I can support it. And that's based on really the feedback that I'm getting from my district. It's really about 8-1 against for the communications and emails and phone calls that I'm getting. There's never really been, and I've kind of been consistent on this for the last year, that there's not really been any groundswell of support within my district for this type of public funds going to the private school industry or marketplace. And so part of that is my district is a rural district. We only have one, maybe two private schools, I think, that would qualify to accept the funding from this program, and those schools are full. The one in Centerville is very small. It's a Seventh-day Adventist school, and then the one in White Bluff is actually in Mary Littleton's district, but it's in my county. And it's a growing program. It's been around for probably a decade or more, maybe a little bit longer than that. But it serves about 300 students, and it's kind of they're kind of capped as to how many students just based on space that they have with the building itself and land. So, there's just not a market right now outside of kids and families transporting to other counties or adjoining counties. So, again, I just don't know that I'd be able to support it the way it's currently drafted. I also have some concerns fiscally about, what this is going to look like in the end, and I'm waiting patiently to see the fiscal note on it. To see what's projected for the costs. Right now, it looks like the total package is going to be somewhere around $400 million to get it off the ground. And so that $400 million for return of how many students are actually going to be able to move from a public to a private school is one of the questions I've been asking. So we're trying to see what capacity is out there in the private school market. And as far as vacancies are concerned, I'm hearing anywhere from 300 to 1,200 or 1,400 open seats in the private school market. So we're spending a whole lot of money to start this thing with not a whole lot of return, at least initially. So then the question becomes, how long is the ramp up for this thing to become universal? With only 5,000 scholarships being added every year, and then how long does it take for the private school market to expand their capacity to open up these spots? So again, all difficult questions that I don't know that anybody really has the hard answer for, or a firm answer to. There's a lot of projection and hope of what this thing would do and what effects it would have, but we won't know that until 5, 10, 15 years down the road.
And just so our readers are aware, what is the timeline for this special session coming up? How does it work?
Yes. So right now the session's been called. Bills can be filed for that session. And as of this morning, I haven't seen anything filed of record yet. We will we'll gavel into session on Monday of next week on the 27th for the general session. And then I think we'll adjourn or take a recess and then gavel into the special session on Monday. That starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Once we gavel in, then bills would be assigned to committee and committees would meet, a schedule would come out. And so I would assume maybe even as early as Monday evening or certainly early Tuesday morning, these bills would start matriculating through committee meetings and debate and discussions will be had publicly for the first time for us to be able to start talking about the pros and cons. And so the thing that I think, the other part of this that I think we're all waiting to see is, in addition to the voucher bill, what other bills are going to be filed. We know we've seen the proclamation from the governor and what the call is with 14 different line items there. I don't know that that's going to be 14 different bills. It's probably going to be pared down to 4 or 5 or 6, with several of those things being included in one bill. So, that's the other part of this is, we're going to have a short period of time to try to sift through all of that to find out exactly what we're trying to accomplish. And then look, at the end of the day, I know one of the discussions is about, we're tying flood relief funds to voucher funding. We're going to be able to vote separately on those bills. We'll be able to vote yes or no on the voucher bill, and then we'll be able to vote yes or no on flood relief, yes or no on the other items. But at the end of the special session, we'll have to vote up or down on a bill, on an appropriation package. And it will be one vote that will have all of that money contained in there. So at the end, we may vote against the voucher bill, but have to vote in favor of the funding package in order to get the funding relief for flood relief victims and that sort of thing. So hopefully the voters and folks that are seeing, reading the votes and seeing who voted for what will understand what happened. And we'll probably have to do some education on that to let everybody know, hey, here's why we did what we did. And because you're going to have people that are going to get in trouble for voting against the voucher plan because they voted for the funding for the public school, or they voted for the funding for the flood relief, so they voted for the voucher plan. Or if they vote against the voucher plan funding, then they're going to be accused of voting against flood relief for the victims. So one way or the other, either way you go, you're going to get in trouble for it. Somebody's going to be upset with you.
And just a quick question on the House rules that were established for the 114th General Assembly. You guys are the 114th General Assembly, even if you go into special session. So if I'm not mistaken, the House rules that have been established apply to the special session as well? We
will adopt the House rules that are in place, but there could be an effort to make some changes. I know when we came into special session on the red flag laws, there were some tweaks made to the rules package for that special session. So it is possible that we could see, but I don't think we will. I think those items that were put in place for dealing with unruly behavior and that sort of thing, changes to how votes are done in committee, those are all going to apply. And so I don't foresee there being any major changes to the rules package.
Okay, because I know our readers are specifically excited about the electronic voting.
Oh yes, me too. I think that's a very important thing that we did. Anytime we're adding transparency and improving the ability of the general public to see exactly what we're voting on and how we're voting, that's a good thing. That's a win for the citizens.